Let's get some insights to the news shaping the markets. For that, we welcome in Thomas Martins with us, Senior Portfolio Manager at Globalt Investments. Thank you for being here. Look, new records and lots of up arrows. What do you make of this sort of risk-on mentality today?
Well, thanks for having me on the program, Nicole. You know, we really have a bit more volatility, I think, in the market, as you guys have been talking about, since the inflation number. And the question of whether the stocks and companies that have led the market so far this year are going to continue to do it. But like you said, even though that's going on in the background, the markets in general are still higher, whether it's large cap, small cap, growth, or value. And that is generally in keeping with the seasonals and the election year. And as you get a little bit more certainty potentially as to who the president is going to be, that starts to give people a bit more confidence to be invested.
Tell me more about, so we're obviously looking to the elections. You just mentioned that, but I did have the Fed in my mind and thinking about these rate cuts that many are expecting, either September or later this year. Your thoughts?
Well, I think the idea has been from early on in the year when Chairman Powell first started mentioning that, you know, we were close to getting rate cuts, is that the market's been waiting for rate cuts even before the last rate hike. To see if that will be, you know, positive for the market and to, you know, take a bit of the risk out. And with the inflation number, it looks as though that really has solidified in the minds of the traders and is reasonable. It may take some more time. It may take until September for sure. And nobody's really giving anything away. We'll see what Chair Powell has to say, if anything, in his interview today. But that's what we're looking for, and that would definitely be a tailwind for the market for at least the near term until we see if the economy can hold up. So that's the next step, is you get the rate cuts, which is seen as a positive, but it has to be for the reason that inflation is good, employment then does remain strong in the economy, and the consumer remains strong. If that starts to falter, then you could get some sort of a correction in the market.
Yeah, understood. So you have this risk-on mentality at this moment that you were talking about. You do have names like Micron, Chipotle, and Procter Gamble as your picks today. Why are these names good plays, at least, you know, near term, long term? What are your thoughts?
Well, the reason why I wanted to bring up those three names, and we have 70 names in the portfolio, and we try to be diversified across the sectors and the industries, but they are different and they bring different risk parameters to the portfolio. You know, Micron is a part of the AI trade, and it has corrected recently. So one of the things with the market being as strong as it has been is to try and find names that have corrected maybe unfairly, so that there's a better entry point or a time to add. And Micron is one of those names. It's off of its high because they gave guidance that wasn't as strong as the street had expected, but the underlying fundamentals are still very strong. Chipotle would fall in the same category. They're one of the quick serve restaurants that has done very well and held up and hasn't been really a victim of the trade down or the issues at the lower end of the consumer end of the spectrum. And Procter & Gamble is in the staples area, which has been out of favor, and where the food names continue to come under pressure with regard to volumes and sales and trade downs in the consumer, whereas the consumer products have held up better. Their stories are rather boring, but if there is a rotation to more value-oriented and more steady and away from the things that have worked, those companies are going to be the ones that will probably be flocked to.
Understood. And just quickly, what do you tell folks when they ask about some of those Mag 7 names? I mean, we're watching Apple bumping up, but against all-time highs, and Tesla's had some recent volatility. Nvidia's been a favorite, though pulled back off the highs. What do you tell people about that group? Do you have favorites within the group?
Well, we like most of them. And the reason for that is that the fundamentals are very strong. Thus far this year, and even continuing this year, the earnings growth is centered in technology and communication services and parts of consumer discretionary, where Amazon lives, that have just very strong earnings that are powering the market and their stocks. And those trends, although they're slowing, they're still very strong relative to other parts of the market and other companies. The problem is that the stocks are up very strongly, and portfolios and clients have lots of gain in those. So it's a question of what do you do to protect your gains while still participating? So it's the classic FOMO versus protection. So we say that you want to have exposure to these companies, but you don't want to, back up the truck and have an outsized weight to them. Exposure, yes, but if you have an outsized weight, it might be time to moderate that and find other places. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, understood. And you said that you were also looking for some of those names that have been put off on, for no reasonable reason, looking for value as well in this market. And you had your picks today of Micron, Chipotle, and Procter Gamble. Thomas, thank you. Thomas Martin.
Great. Thanks a lot,
Global
Nicole.
Investments.